Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're on page 29 of your student journal, and our objective or our goal today is today I will multiply decimals. Okay. So the rules for multiplying decimals are going to be very different than adding and subtracting. When we added and subtracted, we had to line up the decimals. That's the most important thing in adding and subtracting. You're going to see that that's not the case when we multiply. So let's first look at our vocabulary. Our first word is factors. Factors are numbers that are multiplied to create a product. So factors could be single digits, they could be multiple digits. They could be fractions, they could be decimals. It's just what is being multiplied together. And then product is the solution or the answer to a multiplication problem. So they give you an example here. And then they show us steps, but we're not going to worry about that yet. So let's come over here and look at our actual steps. It says we're going to write the problem in working form. Working form just means we're going to set it up vertically. We're going to set it up vertically. And what I always like to do is I always like to put the longer number on top. I know sometimes people say we always put the larger number on top. I actually always say we put the longer number on top. So I might include that in step one, that when I say working form, I put the longer number on top. And then we're going to multiply to solve. And then steps 3 and 4, we're going to kind of combine them into one big step. So step 3 says underline and count all the digits after to the right of the decimal point and each of the factors. And then it says in the product, underline the same number of digits beginning from the right and place the decimal before to the left of the underlined digit. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but that seems really confusing to me. So we're going to cross that off. And I'm going to say our next step after we multiply is we're going to do loops. So that's going to be our step 3, is we're going to say loops. And I think it's just easier if you remember loops, but a few things about the loops is that the factor loops have to match the product loop, but I'll show you that. So we're going to remember, we're going to set up our problem, longer number on top, we're going to multiply, and then we're going to do our loops. Okay, so what does this actually look like? So I'm going to grab my red pen if you want to set down your pencil and just watch me for a second. Here is my problem, and I'm going to be doing a couple with you today. So my first problem says 132 and 6/10 times 4. Okay, so if I was to set this up with my longer number on top, it's clear it's going to be this one because that's 4 digits long. So I'm setting it up, and notice I'm not even worried about the decimal. I'm just setting up my number. I'm kind of ignoring that there's a decimal there. And then step 2 says I'm just going to multiply to solve. So I have 4 times 6 is 24, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13, and 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Okay, so what do I mean by this loops for step 3? Well, I'm going to look in my problem, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to make a loop under every digit till I get to a decimal. So right here, I'm going to go 1 loop, and I stop. Here, I'm going to make no loops because there's no decimal. So in the problem, I only had 1 loop, which means in my answer, I'm going to come down here, start, and I'm going to make 1 loop and add a decimal. So my answer, because they have to have the same amount of loops. My answer is 530 and 4/10. That is my final answer. Okay, let's see what that looks like on another one. We're going to actually be doing 4 together, for watching me do 4. The train ride to work costs $6.47 each day. How much would it cost to ride the train to work for 32 days? Okay, so I'm first going to set it up with the longer number on top, which is $6.47 because it has 3 digits. And I'm not even worried about the decimal right now. The next, I'm just going to multiply. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 2 times 6 is 12. Then I need a placeholder. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. And I'm getting 4, 10, 7. Okay, so now I go back, and my step 3 is my loop. So I'm going to look at my problem first. I'm going to start here on the right, and this time I'm going to go 1, 2 loops to get to that decimal, and there's no loops here. So my problem has 2 loops, which means my answer needs to have 1, 2 loops. So my answer is 207 and 4/100ths. Okay, now those were both decimals by whole numbers. Let's see what happens when we have a decimal multiplied by a decimal. How does this change? So I have 1 1/68 times 4 6/10. So again, I'm going to set it up with my longer digit on top. Longer number on top, which has 3 digits, and this one will go on the bottom. Notice I don't worry about my decimals. I don't try and line them up. I don't try and not line them up. I just kind of ignore them. And then I'm going to multiply. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 4 is 40. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. Put my placeholder. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Okay, so let's see what happens when we add these. We get this. Okay, so that was step 2. Step 3 is I'm going to do my loop. So I'm going to go to my problem first, start on the right and go 1, 2 loops. Oh, this time I need a loop here because there was a decimal. So my whole problem has 3 loops, which means my answer needs to have 1, 2, 3 loops as well. They need to match. So my answer is 7 7/728. Okay, let's try some of these together, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to first be on page 30 together. If you could open your book to page 30. And our first one says 362 4/10 times 3. Okay, so our longer number is obviously this one. That one's going to go on top. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're just going to multiply like regular. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. And after we're done multiplying, then we're going to do our loops. So our problem has only 1 loop, so our product or our answer can only have 1 loop. So our answer is 1087 2/10. Okay, let's try another one. Andy brought 14 bags of candy to share with his class. Each bag weighed 1 48/100. What was the total weight of candy? Okay, so I would personally put this one on top because that's my longer number. It has 3 digits. So if I was to set this up, this is how I would set up my problem. And then I would multiply. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Now let's get our placeholder. 1 times 8, 1 times 4, and 1 times 1. So I am getting 2072. Okay, now we're going to put in our loops though for step 3. So let's go to our problem. We have 2 loops there, no loops here. So our problem has 2 loops. So our product or our answer needs to have 2 loops also. So our answer is 20 and 72 hundredths. Okay, we're also going to try a few more together. So please turn your book to page 38. We're going to try 2 more together on page 38. Okay, our first one says 326 thousandths times 2 and 2 hundredths. Okay, this one had 4 digits and this one had 3, so I would probably set it up just as it is. And remember, we're not lining up decimals, we're just setting it up lining up digits, kind of ignoring the decimals. All right, 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 0 is 0. Okay, placeholder, 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0. Okay, and 2 placeholders. 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 0 is 0. Okay, so what do we have here? We have 2, 5, 8, 5, 6, and 0. Okay, so now we set it up, we multiplied, now we're going to do our loops. So let's come up here and we have 1, 2, 3 loops there, and then 1, 2 loops there. So our problem has 5 loops, which means in our answer or our product we need 5 loops. So let's start here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your answer should, or your decimal should go between the 0 and 6. So our answer is 0, 6, 5, 8. Oh, did I make a mistake? 5, 8. Oh, let's say 6, 5, 8, 5, 2. Sorry, I knew I made a mistake there. And that is our answer. Okay, we are not going to do the last one together. You have quite a few problems to try on your own, so remember your steps. You're going to set it up with a longer number on top, you're going to multiply, and then you're going to do your loops. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.